Welcome to this week's Vero Coaches Wrap. Murray Davis here to review our round 13 game v West Coast. Obviously not the result we were after. 3 quarters, I think we went down by 14 points, but unfortunately the second quarter was our poorest, which has been a bit of a trend, and we went down by 35 points and in total 49 points on the day. So some positive signs there, but still plenty to work on. So just in today's review, I thought I'd go through the start of the game, which was a bit of our tackling pressure, and you'll see the numbers up there in the top left hand corner. So we started pretty well with our defensive pressure, but unfortunately we just weren't able to maintain it, and critical lapses in this area are costing us goals. So we'll continue to work on it, which shows in this stoppage here where the ball spills out. Just Dane Zorko, his ability to be able to keep the ball in, and then you've got Ryan Lester as well on Butler. Just being able to tie this ball up is really important, but you can see he's able to get the handball away. Gaff for West Coast kicks this ball. You'll see Clay Beams there about to pressure him. It's really important that we take his run away so he's not able to double up possession, which is what he does here. We miss another tackle there by Tom Cutler, and Gaff's able to, as I said, double up possession and then get the ball going West Coast way. And this is their first goal of the game, and it was really disappointing after we had started so well. We weren't able to capitalise and then allow West Coast to run down and kick an easy goal. So something we'll continue to keep putting time into is that tackling pressure. We did have some good instances in the first quarter, and this goal here is on the back of Tom Cutler kicking the ball in deep, and we see Louis Taylor kick a terrific goal. But what, from a coaching point of view, we were really pleased with, obviously the great goal by Squizzy, but the work that Josh Walker did in this contest. And I've highlighted Louis there firstly, and you'll see his opponent drops off him, and this is what our key forwards are faced with a lot, and it's really important Josh Walker gives us a contest. So I've highlighted him there and the importance of that, and then it's Louis at ground level playing his role. If we don't get that contest, though, from Josh Walker, we don't get the goal that we got from Squizzy. So that's something we'll continue to keep working with, and we saw some key forwards, young key forwards in Shaki and Hipwood, along with Walks as well. So we'll continue to keep working on that throughout the season. As I mentioned earlier, the second quarter was pretty disappointing, and this is the start of the second quarter. You'll see we're only 1 point behind, but this is the first centre bounce of the second quarter. We get the opportunity to stick a tackle in the middle, which we miss. West Coast kick the ball forward, and as this plays out, you'll see Daniel Merritt comes off his opponent to try and impact this contest. I've highlighted him there, and he comes through for the spoil. And what you'll notice is Tom Cutler is just off his oppo. So that gap and where those arrows are is just too big a gap. So what ends up happening, ball spills to Tom Cutler's man, easy handball over to Rogers' opponent in Kennedy, and he goes forward and kicks one of his 5 goals. So as a coaching group, I can assure all the members, supporters and fans that we work really closely with all our team basically on defence first and building your game off that. And in that particular instance, we've talked to Cuts about this. He took too many liberties, and I've put this in here, which all Brisbane fans will recall this great day, which is Brisbane winning the premiership against Collingwood. And Paul Licura, who was a fantastic player, played his role nearly 99% of the time. But in this one instance, in a critical part of the game, you can see that Paul Licura in front of Jason Ackermanis, too much space, and Acker kicks a goal that lots of Brisbane supporters recall and celebrated for a long time in a very tight grand final. And why we use clips like this for our players is just to say we are preparing you for grand final day, and we need to build good habits and standards in everything we do. So we're not being hard on our players. As I said, we're prepping them for grand final day so that when it gets to that magical moment, we can fulfil our roles. So that's something, just a bit of an insight into it. Next goal, basically second quarter again, 20 seconds after the first goal was kicked, you'll see Pierce Hanley's got Pritis there, who's just a very strong inside midfielder that's able to get the ball out. Ball goes forward and Lacroix takes a mark, and in the coach's box at the time we were asking ourselves the question, how did that happen? And this is how it happened. You'll see Clay Beam starting on Lacroix. I've also highlighted Mitch Robinson in the middle on Luke Shuey. But as this ball gets kicked forward, Clay cops one and goes to ground, which means that Lacroix basically running around by himself. Ball falls in his lap, and I've highlighted there Mitch Robinson again, who just gets caught ball watching, and Shuey pushes hard forward on him, takes the advantage, and they go forward and kick another goal. So after our good work in the first quarter, it was disappointing to not capitalise and allow West Coast to kick 2 early goals in that second quarter. Just some of the questions that have come through. Thanks for all your questions. We'll try and get through as many of them as we can. This one here about easy goals for West Coast. I highlighted 2 players in the middle there, and it's really just about being able to take something off your opponent. So they get us on the offensive spread, West Coast, and I've highlighted another player there. I think it's Daniel Rich at the back, who's opposed to Jack Darling. He's basically got to make sure his oppo doesn't get goal side of him, but as the mark's taken, he gets drawn to the contest. The West Coast forward in Jack Darling runs hard forward and takes an easy mark. So basically the system's breaking down because we're not doing our work early and not doing our role of not letting our oppo get goal side of us and taking something off them. So that's something we've spoken about through the week. The next question was a bit around our offence and why do we keep going backwards and sideways and not going forward? And they're all good questions. I'll try and answer this as best as I can. But you'll notice the ball here starts with Dan Merritt and he kicks a short pass into Sam Mays. So as it just plays through here, you'll see there's a lot of players in what we call the bubble. So we've got 2 players to the right of screen there, just highlighted them with those black dots. And in this little bubble here is 34 players. So what we're trying to do is get outside that bubble. So to do that, we need to be able to move the ball quickly and make advantage of where our spare players are. What is happening though, and we're encouraging our players to be bold with their ball movement, is we're getting to this point, which is just the ball's marked in this area, and we're going with this kick, where we want to try and encourage our players to try and use these options, if that's the short one or the longer option. And as you'll see behind the ball here, this is where our advantage is. Again, marked our players with the black dots and West Coast in white, and we've got that advantage that we want to take where we can. So it's quick ball movement, being able to shift the defence, move the opposition defence and then get the ball over the back. So that's something we'll continue to keep working on. But as you'll see on this occasion, we go wide, we use the extra number. It allows West Coast just to set up defensively. We get sort of held up just outside the 50. Roe Buick's got the ball, ends up kicking it in long, and we get a stoppage, and that's okay. It allows us to set up. But as I said, we want to try and move that ball quicker through the corridor, or use those midfielders that put themselves into those spots. Another question was just about how did the coaches see Erika Woods' debut game. Fantastic. For a first gamer to come in and commit to the contest like Eric did was super. For him to get a goal in his first game was really exciting, and the players all shared in that special moment. And I think it says a bit about our group, as that despite what the scoreboard says and was only 30 odd seconds left on the clock, they still share in those special moments. And we were really pleased with some of his contests, and we know that with a bit of size and a bit of time that he'll be a long player at this club for us. So just on that, I thought I'd put this graph in just to show the West Coast games career played. So you'll see from 0 to 50 we had 11 players, so half our side are in that category. West Coast had 4. From 50 to 100 we had 5, West Coast had 4. From 100 to 150 we had 5 players, West Coast had 10. And then they had, we only had the 1 in the 100 to 200, and I think you'll see the final numbers 3 and 1. So it just gives the fans, supporters and members a bit of an insight into where we're at as a club, and that we're getting games into our younger players, and really you're at your peak in that 100 to 150 category. So the future's bright, stick with us, and we look forward to getting down to Melbourne and playing in front of our members and fans down there this weekend against Richmond.